I used to work night shifts at a small convenience store in a quiet neighborhood. Behind the store was a narrow staircase that led down to the basement. It was mostly used for storage, and I was told not to go down there unless absolutely necessary. The owner told me something strange on my first day. If you hear anything from downstairs, ignore it. I thought he was joking, until one night around 2:30 a.m. I heard it. A loud bang. It came from the basement. I froze behind the counter. A few seconds passed, then another sound. 3 slow knocks. I stared at the basement door. It was locked. There was no way anyone could be down there. I grabbed the key from behind the counter and walked toward the door, my heart pounding. I told myself it was probably just something falling, but as I stood in front of the door, I heard it again, this time right on the other side. I quickly unlocked the door and pulled it open. The staircase was completely dark. The light switch was at the bottom. I hesitated, then slowly started walking down. Each step creaked under my weight. Halfway down, I heard something moving below me, like footsteps, slow, dragging. I reached the bottom and turned on the light. Nothing, just shelves and boxes. I let out a breath. Then I noticed something. At the far end of the basement, there was another door. I had never seen it before. It was slightly open, and from inside, I heard breathing. Slow, heavy breathing. I stepped closer. "Hello?" I called out. The breathing stopped. Silence. Then suddenly, the door shut by itself. I jumped back. My heart was racing. I rushed over and pulled the door open. Inside, there was nothing, just a small, empty room. No windows, no place for anyone to hide. I stood there for a few seconds. Then I heard it, right behind me. A whisper. "Close it." I turned around. No one was there. I ran upstairs and locked the basement door. The next day, I told the owner everything. He went quiet. Then he told me something I wish I never heard. Years ago, a man had been locked in that basement by mistake during renovations. They didn't find him until days later. Ever since then, employees sometimes hear knocking from the inside. When I moved into my apartment, everything seemed normal. It was cheap, quiet, and located just outside the city. The landlord showed me around, but he skipped one area, the basement. He said it was just storage. A week later, I went down there to check it out. The basement was dimly lit, with old furniture covered in dust, but something didn't feel right. There was a cold draft coming from the back wall. I walked over, and that's when I saw it. A door, hidden behind a large shelf. I moved the shelf aside and opened it. Inside was a small room, completely empty. No windows, no lights, just darkness. I stepped inside for a second, then went back upstairs. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps coming from below, slow, pacing back and forth. I grabbed my phone and went downstairs. The basement light was on. I was sure I had turned it off earlier. I walked slowly toward the back wall. The shelf was still in place, covering the door. I pushed it aside. The door was open, but something was different. Inside the room, there was someone standing there, facing the wall, completely still. I froze. "Hello?" I whispered. The figure didn't move. Then slowly, it turned its head, not its body, just its head, and looked directly at me. Its face was completely dark, like it had no features. Then it took one step forward. I slammed the door shut and pushed the shelf back. The footsteps stopped. The next morning, I checked again. There was no door behind the shelf, just a solid wall. I asked the landlord about it. He looked confused. "There's no room in the basement," he said. I didn't argue. But every night since then, at exactly 3 a.m., I still hear footsteps coming from behind that wall. When I was younger, my family moved into an old house that had been vacant for years. It had a basement, but my parents rarely went down there. They said it was too dirty. But one night, during a blackout, I had no choice. The power went out around midnight. Everything was completely dark. My phone battery was dead. The only flashlight I could find was in the basement. I didn't want to go down there, but I had no choice. I opened the basement door and immediately felt a cold wave hit me. The air was different down there, heavy. I turned on the flashlight and started walking down. The beam barely lit the steps. When I reached the bottom, I heard something, a soft scratching sound coming from the corner. I pointed the flashlight toward it. Nothing, just old boxes. I turned away, and the sound stopped. I slowly walked further in. That's when I saw it, a small opening in the wall, like a crawl space, and from inside, something moved. I stepped closer. "Hello?" I whispered. The movement stopped. Then suddenly, something crawled out, fast, too fast. I jumped back and dropped the flashlight. The room went dark, and I heard it moving, circling me, scratching against the floor, breathing, close, very close. I stood completely still, trying not to make a sound. Then I felt it, right behind me, breathing on my neck. I ran. I didn't even look back. I slammed the basement door and locked it. The next morning, I told my parents. My dad checked the basement. He said there was nothing there, no crawl space, no hole in the wall, just solid concrete. We moved out a month later, but sometimes when I'm alone at night, I still feel it, that same cold breath right behind me.